are here, still on Speaker Podcast with Triple M, the man, the myth, the legend, Triple M, Mr. I call him Mr. Keith, my good fellow here at our wonderful establishment where we work and do what we do.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Keith, it's a pleasure to have you here. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm awesome. Feeling good right now.
Nice, nice, nice. So I know you guys just came from one and only Freeway Rick Ross event. Tell me about the event. How was that? What came on?
Hey, listen, let me tell you what came to mind.
Talk to me.
A lot of things resonated with his story, man. Oh my God. When I say a lot of things that he went through as a young man, it resonated with me, right? Understanding how you can go from being interested to doing something like tennis or basketball and having the alternative negative option of going inside of the street and that actually being more attractive. I understand that. Growing up without a, and growing up at the age of 19, I'm young, not having that positive male figure, right? To understand where I was, the thing that you see in the hood is people on the street, right?
Yeah.
And even though you're taught to, stay away from the street, don't be around them, right? It's different when I don't want to be around them, but I ain't got none of those two to kind of accept me, or I have nobody else to kind of teach me anything else, right? So I'm gonna go was the easiest route.
Nice.
So I understand that. Even I wasn't a drug now, there was a drug dealer like him, like way more aggressive than him. But I resonated with how I could understand how it happened.
Okay, nice. So now I want to actually touch bases with that. The concept of understanding, right? So one of the things I noticed that he talked about was this method of mindset, right? There was a mindset to moving a drug. There's a mindset for him to be able to change his own mind while in prison and be able to shift it to be able to, get out of prison. After having that discussion, incorporating what you've been through, how important would you say mindset is for our young men? Well, how important was it for you? And now, how important is it for our young men?
Well, let me tell you right now,
Uh,
you don't realize how important the thing is until you hear somebody saying it a different way, right? So for me, my young man in the agency, they mean everything to me, right? So you see their physical body, you see what they go through, how they conversate, but you never know what's going on in their mind, right? And so how I relate to that is my mindset at the age of 19, honestly, it was scrambled. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do because nobody ever taught me and understand me. Hey, I have a 5-year goal, I have a 10-year goal. What are you working towards? So for me, having a correct mindset, right? One of the things that resonated with me with what he was saying was his mindset really didn't change. He just changed what he did. That was powerful.
I was actually.
You know how powerful that is? And I realized it made me go back and realize that, and I was telling the young man earlier while he was still right before he started talking was, I pretty much was already this person before I even believed I was this person.
Yeah.
Right? Because everything that I do for Band of Brothers and OIC comes so naturally to me. Like I remember telling someone, I believe that God really has heard what I'm supposed to be. I do everything so easily. I could create things so easy, right? And before it's me looking back saying, man, I already had these things in my mind. I just never was in the right setting at the time, right? And so when he said that, you know what, I really didn't change my mindset. I just changed from giving drugs to actually doing something more positive.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very powerful thing to get our young men to understand is maybe it's not your mind that you need to change. Maybe it's the people that you're around. Maybe it's your setting that you're around, right? And so that's where I was at.
Nice. No, and I think you make a very important point. The setting is important, right?
Yeah.
So that leads to my next question: how important is the environment, and how does one change the environment? Because sometimes you don't even know that the environment is toxic to you. So how do you kind of recognize those type of things, and then how do you then take the actions to change your environment?
And so this is what I would say. So I know realistically, some of our young people don't have the ability to change their environment, right? They don't have the ability to change their environment. That is a realistic thing, especially when they're in high school. Think about they're staying with their parents.
Yeah.
I say some very aggressive things, right? This right here is I say, if a parent tells me a lot of young people don't have the ability to change their environment, I say a lot of aggressive things when it comes to parenting, right? Like we tell our kids not to do drugs. We tell our kids not to smoke. We tell our kids not to drink, but then go back and do the very same thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so that means that what? This is how our young adults become products of their environment. Because as they grow up, they're used to seeing their parent telling them not to do something, but my mom is doing it
Yeah.
all the time, right? And so I would say when you get into that upper age, right, one of the things that they said during the event was, sometimes you got to not look at some people, some adults, right? Some adults are not positive mentors of where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
And guess what? Realistically, I'm gonna say something that my parents were not ultimately perfect examples. I respected them, right?
Yeah.
They weren't perfect example where I wanted to go mentally. So I had to change my mind into understanding like which individuals I really needed to be. I need to pay attention to who's going where, right? And I need to be around that person. But environment, I say environment matters, right? It's mind over matter, right? But I'll say in high school, it's about finding a mentor, right? A teacher or a best friend.
Yeah.
And if you are staying in situations where you don't have the ability, you have to train your mind to be where you want to be
Yeah.
before you get there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important. I think you're making an important point because at a certain age, it is hard for our young men or even our young ladies to change their environment. I make a lot of money, you may not have the transportation. But I think one of the things that you said, which I agree, is sometimes you have to find these I would say key figures or your key pockets of environment
Definitely.
within your environment. 'Cause you do have an environment, but in these environments, you do have things like, like OIC that are pockets of good spaces in which in a community that a lot of our own children are not, is not the best kid. So I think you definitely, the mentors as well.
The influence in those little pockets has to be bigger than what's happening though in your everyday life.
Exactly.
Has to be bigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has to be.
Yeah. So no, I think that's a very an important point. And so we talked about mentors. I think a great conversation that came up. And I would say that was one of the, I don't want to say the debate conversation, but it was one of the conversations where I seen that people kind of had different points on that one.
Oh yeah.
So let's go to that one because your point seemed to be kind of the middle ground for both sides.
I like to play the middle ground.
Perfect.
I'm the middleman.
Triple M.
Yeah.
Mentorship. Finding one and how to find one. For lack of better, or for for using the same terms that we use there, sifting through the bullshit.
Yeah. Facts.
What is your stance?
I'm gonna tell you right now. First, what the individual said, there's a lot of bullshitters.
Yeah.
Right, let's be honest. You did.
That's that you can agree.
I agree with it.
Okay.
Right. But there's always balance.
Okay.
The Bible says there's always a double-edged sword.
Exactly.
Right? Just like with social media. Think about it. There's a lot of good things on social media. There's a lot of bad things on social media.
Exactly.
But a lot of that put in the middle ground, right? You can't get rid of it because we're here. Right. So my thing is five or 10 years ago, I would have been completely sold on a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
Until I got in this space. I'm a mentor.
Yeah.
Right now. You're a mentor.
Yeah.
We're around men at the organization that we work at that are mentors in their own right.
Yeah.
And so that's when I understood something. I was talking to one of the guys downstairs after the conversation was, it's not that there's a lot of bullshit. I think we pay attention too much to the bullshitters.
I'm not.
There's a lot of men that I've been connected with that I've had the pleasure of talking with since I've been in this space with the organization. And there's a lot of mentors, but guess what? We're just not connected with each other.
Yeah.
We're doing the exact same thing, but in our own spaces.
Yeah.
It's like a body, right? It's like a disconnected body. It's things functioning, but guess what? They haven't connected with each other, right? So that's what you have Band of Brothers, right? You have Gang Alternatives, you have 5,000 role models. Guess what? A lot of those initiatives are honestly the same thing. We're dealing with underrepresented young men. We're trying to get them to be professional in a setting, understanding how to speak, life skills, right? A lot of these things are happening, right? But guess what? Are we really connected with each other, right?
Exactly.
And so that way, because we're not connected, a lot of individuals would say, there's not a lot of mentors. There's a lot of bullshitters. Guess what? There are.
Exactly.
But I think that we're in a time where if you're a bullshit, it's going to be known
Exactly.
faster now, right?
Exactly.
Because you're not going to be able to play the long game. Somebody will say, you got to have patience.
Exactly.
You got to have that consistency. My thing It's consistency.
Yeah.
Like I tell people that what I'm doing at OIC, I can do this every single day.
Yeah.
I'm talking about every day, and Mr. Keith is not going to change. I'm going to be the same person. I might grow a little bit better. My characters might be a little bit better.
Yeah.
My conversation is going to get a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be consistent in everything I do. Why? It's because I'm here for the long hauls.
Nice.
So that's what I would say. I'm definitely the middleman, though.
Right. Yeah, you were definitely a middleman. And I think so now I'm gonna touch on this. So I think where everybody found the middle ground that they liked was consistency. And that was now one of the key points that we ended up talking about.
Yeah.
How do you teach consistency? Can consistency even be taught?
So I start from there. And I like to always use myself as I like to be the lamb to the slaughter.
Okay.
Right. So honestly, in a lot of homes that have black men that are broken like in the right. So we're not taught consistency. The dad is not in the house. The mom has to do everything, and the mom can't. A mom could do only so much.
Yeah.
Definitely, they can deal with them when they're in elementary. It's a struggle in middle school, but then when they get in high school, it's a whole different aspect. They're growing as a man, right? Do you have a 5-year plan? Do you know how to build a 5-year plan?
Yeah.
We talked about the boys with elevator speeches. Do you know how to sell yourself?
Yeah.
If you don't know how to sell yourself, that means that you haven't consistently talked to someone about who you are.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't learn those things, right? And so how do you teach consistency? You have to break, you have to be willing to break traditional. A lot of people will say traditional curses, but I would say it's breaking bad norms for a lot of these young men. Look at it, a lot of these young men grow up in broken homes, so they don't have confidence in themselves, right?
Yeah.
So that means that if you're going to mentor these young men, that means that you're going to have to be willing to be frustrated sometimes when you're trying to teach them about having the elevator speech, that you got to sell yourself.
Yeah.
What do you think about yourself?
Yeah.
They're going to get frustrated with thinking about who they are because nobody ever talked to them about who they are.
Exactly.
Right. So it's about breaking. It's think about it. It's like a potter with clay. That's a perfect example, right? So the first thing that you got to do is that you got to get the clay smooth. You're going to pound it. You got to work with it, and it's going to be rough at first, right? And that's the same thing with a lot of these young men is you got to be willing to step into the trenches and being able to be around them. I've seen a lot of these men frustrated, a lot of these young men frustrated. And what's going to happen when they're frustrated? They get angry. They're going to spaz out. They're going to crash out. They're going to get angry. They don't want to talk to nobody. And you have to be the guy that's be willing to sit in the trenches with them. Like, bro, I'm not here to mess with you. I'm still going to be here.
Yeah.
I understand that you're frustrated, but I'm getting ready to show. I'm willing to be with you. If you don't understand who you are, I can show you, right? And we can do it step by step and day by day. So for me, it's about first breaking those bad habits that they had that a lot of the young men don't know that they have. So it's about willing to kind of break those outside layers of the onion in order just to get them to be open to you. Because once you get them to like this opportunity that we have, right? Get the young men in spaces where they can speak to other men about opportunities that they might have, right? And guess what? Now they're able to speak and you speak confidence in them. Listen, I believe in you. I can tell you who I think you are. Right. And so it goes, and now they're thinking like, man, am I really that? Yes, you are. You are. And I'm going to tell you that every single day, even when you're not that.
Exactly.
Right. And so now guess what happens? Months down the line, they begin to talk to you a little bit more. And after they begin to talk to you a little bit more, hey, let's go to this podcast. Or let's go. I'm going to take you to this business event where you're going to be able to speak with men. Right. So it's first being able to show them things that they've never seen before, and also getting them to believe things that they really don't believe in themselves.
Nice. Nice. Well, as we get ready to end this podcast, thank you, Triple N, Mr. Keith, for being with us today. Is there anything, any message you would like to leave with our watchers, our viewers today?
Oh, definitely. Hey, if we're gonna put this out, I'm telling you guys right now. I want y'all to pay attention to me. All of these cameras, me and Mr. Mike, gonna let y'all know right now. Right. So y'all see the logo OIC Miami Battle Brothers Initiative. If you don't know us and you think we're foreign now, you're going to get to know us, right? It's about building better young men for our future, right? Personal relationships with themselves, understanding who they are, a confidence, professional development, life skills. We here for real. Listen, I'm from the gutter, baby, right? And so I'm going to say I'm from the hood. So I am a perfect example of a young man that didn't have an opportunity, didn't have the right pieces around me, but with But thank God for people that was able to mentor in those little pockets. I was able to take my dreams and really make them a reality, like you seeing it. And guess what? It's gonna happen for our young men. So hey, watch out.
Boom. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Keith. We are out. So, get home.